Hello, everyone. It's Camille, Aiko. I hope that you are living the life that you love spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. So we are on chapter 10 of the 10X rule. So this is the book, and it is by Grant Cardone. So good evening to everyone who's joining in. Make sure you drop a 1 below if you're going to stay on and interact and catch this live. And if you're catching this on replay, make sure you drop a 2. So good evening. Drop those 1s if you're going to stay on and participate and watch it live. Drop a 2. Hey, Mary, how are you? Drop a 2 if you're catching this on replay. And so again, we are reading the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, and we are on chapter 10. So make sure you also share this video. When you share this video, then that allows you to help your friends and your family catch it again on replay, and also put you in a drawing for cash prizes, gift cards, and free health and wellness products. So go ahead, drop those 1s. Let me know if you're staying on here. Hey, Darlene, thank you for dropping your 1, and drop a 2 if you're catching this on replay. All right, so the 10X rule. What is the 10X rule? The 10X rule is something that was created by Grant Cardone. He is, I don't think I've told you all this, but he's big into sales, okay? And so with sales, his goal is to become the #1 person that everybody talks about when it comes to sales. So, but he has written this book because he wants people to achieve their goals. And so actually, the subtitle of the book is "The Only Difference Between Success and Failure is the 10X Rule." So the 10X rule is applying 10 times more effort and 10 times more thought in order to get greater amounts of what it is that you want to achieve. And so it doesn't matter what category in your life we're talking about. So whether it's spiritually, mentally, physically, hey, Corrali, financially, in your family, in your business, in your relationships. He's saying by being able to apply the 10X rule, that you are going to be able to achieve much greater amounts. Hey, Jessica just came in the house from church. We had our first congregation meeting of the year. Awesome. Hopefully that went well. Okay. So, you know, I was just thinking about my spiritual and mental goals, and you know, there's some things that happened on today where I was just like, man, this is why we have to go above and beyond what it is that we desire. Because as we've talked about before, hey, Wilbert, what's going on? What's going on, Lance? That in life, it's not about if bad things are going to happen or if life is going to catch you by surprise. It's about when. And if you haven't prepared yourself and haven't set a goal at a higher level, if you're just operating at normal levels, when these things come in and catch you off guard, most people end up quitting. I mean, you can just look at life. I don't even really need to validate that. You can see that when bad things happen to people, they end up getting depressed, they end up giving up, they end up quitting. And this is why we have to set right the world, but the world is still going on while we're quitting. And so we have to figure out, how do we continue to go on when tough things come for us, when tough things come against us? How do we continue to go on? And so sitting here and just thinking about setting 10X goals for my spiritual life and 10X goals for my mental capacity, because that is our foundation. And if we have normal, regular goals when it comes to our spiritual life and mentally, then what happens is that when these tough things come against us, we're not able to stand. That is our foundation. And if our foundation is rocky, if our foundation has cracks in it, if our foundation is unstable, then we are going to be blown away in the winds of life. We're not going to be able to stand, and we're going to find ourselves retreating. So we talked about a few chapters ago, you know, those 3 or actually 4 degrees of action. Number 1 being the person who does nothing. Like you do the absolute bare minimum and then consume yourself in something like a hobby, but it's nothing towards your purpose. It's nothing that's intentional to get you anywhere further in life. And then number two, to be the person who retreats, that you're afraid of facing whatever that obstacle is in your life. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of whatever the result is, and so you just back yourself up in the corner. And then the person who does the normal activity, and which gets you normal results, which ends up diminishing because normal can't sustain. And that's why we have to be the person, number four, who takes massive action in every area of our life, so that when tough times come, when we're trying to achieve the best in our life, we can still be able to sustain. We can still be able to stand strong. We can still be able to go forward in the midst of whatever it is that comes our way. So we have to establish principles to live by. We have to be in our word. We have to know what we believe and why we believe it. So many of us, we just quote things that we see or things that we've heard, and maybe we've even read it, but we don't understand why we even say what we say. Like, we have to get to the point of understanding why we do the things that we do. There is, in fact, something that I read the other day, and this was going towards Christians, but this could really be for anybody. But they were saying, if you don't get up and get to work and activate your faith through your work, then you're going to be in church all your life saying amen and agreeing to that blessing that is going to come. But meanwhile, you've been missing out this entire time because you won't get up and put in the necessary action that you need to take in order to achieve your goals, right? Hey, what's going on, Eric? Good evening, Nana. So, just again, thinking about in life, when things come our way, when we're hit, hey Brian, when we're hit with tribulations and when we're hit with trials, are you prepared to manage them? Or are your situations managing you? Are you just dealing with it as things come, right? So, that was just something that I was thinking about today as I encountered a situation, and it was one of those situations where it just like hit you in the heart. You know what I mean? Like, you feel that thing. And, but we just have to keep going. We have to do personal development every day. We have to be in our word every day. We have to be so radical about this stuff, about finding our place of peace and about finding and understanding where our joy comes from, because nothing is guaranteed and nothing is promised, and you never know what is going to come to distract you, but you have to be ready. And there's going to be some things that are tough to swallow no matter how you look at it, but how you prepare yourself mentally and how you prepare yourself spiritually will make all the difference in how you get through it. And so you set those 10x rules and you set those 10x goals in your life so that you can come out victorious, and that you don't become the victim, but you become somebody who others can look at you and be inspired by you, and how you're able to overcome situations and how you're able to manage situations, versus looking at them like, oh, people looking at you, should I say, like, man, they're just a sad case, right? Like, what happened to their life? They're down, they're depressed, they're out, they have no resolve, they have no resolution, they have no get up and go, they have no drive, right? So this is the importance of setting 10x goals for you spiritually, for you mentally, so that when things come, not if, when, then you can overcome them. Eric Lane, okay. Brenda, good evening, good evening. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into chapter 10, because that's not even chapter 10. And the topic for chapter 10 is competition is for sissies. So again, Grant Cardone is a sales specialist, and you can utilize the 10x rule in every area of your life. So this chapter is really more focused on sales in the business world, but I'm going to try my best to try and incorporate other things as well, so that we can see how the 10x rule plays out in every aspect of our lives. So if you're going to stay on here and participate, make sure you drop a 1 for me. And if you're going to catch this on replay, or if you're watching this on replay, drop a 2. And then also make sure you share this video. It's going to help help your family, your friends, and it's going to get you into the drawing for cash, prizes, gift cards, and free product giveaways, health and wellness product giveaways. So we talked about dominating, that whatever your goal is, it should be that you want to dominate. Hey, Chauncey. Hey, Jessica. That you should be in a position to dominate and not compete. Dominate and not compete. So even though, the world has told us, society has really built up this whole world of competition, Grant is coming and challenging our thought around competition and saying, stop competing, and it should be your goal to absolutely dominate. Hey, what's going on, Alfonso? And he says, the old saying is that competition is healthy, but the new saying is this: if competition is healthy, then domination is immunity. So essentially, it's like, yeah, you can have good health, but something can then happen to you. But if you have immunity, then that means it can't even touch you. And that is how you want to be on your job, in your business, in your relationship, in your marriage, in your family. Like, you want to hold a position that you just dominate whatever it is, your spiritual goals, your mental goals. You want to dominate those things. Because why? It's going to give you greater amounts of success in those areas, so that when tough times come, you are prepared. You're not finding yourself caught off guard in preparation, okay? Because things are going to happen, you're going to be caught off guard. But you can bounce back from it, and you can handle it in a different way versus the people who weren't prepared, the people who didn't have, the people who didn't set 10x goals. You're going to be in a completely different space than them. So your goal is to dominate, not to compete, to dominate. And even if you have a goal that it's not necessarily competition, I still want you to think about dominate each and every one of your goals. In fact, many competitions are distraction, right? Hey, Diana Smiley. Okay, so the next thing, or the reason why he says think about your goals as in dominate and not compete, he said because it limits your creativity. When you are so focused and constantly watching what everybody else is doing, what someone else is doing, then your creativity is being chopped in half. In fact, a lot of times it's gone, because you are just so zoned in on what someone else is doing and trying to duplicate what they're doing that you have lost all sense of your creativity. And that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is create creativity, have creativity, so that we're adding the value, so that we are the people who others are seeking out and want to come and want to find, right? Okay, so hey, Lorenzo, and good evening, everyone who's joining in. So if you're new, we are studying the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, and we are on chapter 10, okay? So now the next thing, as far as when you're thinking in competition versus domination, is that when you're thinking that way, you have to change your mindset. Let me just put it like that, okay? There's a quote that says that you were born original, don't die a carbon copy, right? And so you don't want to get to a place where you're just simply mimicking everything else. I mean, think about your knockoff brands, right? So in particular, ladies, the purses, okay? So we can have our knockoff MK bags, right? Our Coach, whatever. And those, they're cool, right? But they don't have the quality. They don't last as long. They don't have the same value. And those brands, they might do okay, the knockoffs, but it's not the real thing. It's not the real deal. You want to be the real deal. You want to be what's dominating. You don't want everybody to be looking around like the knockoff brands don't even have a brand name, right? We're just like, oh, it's a knockoff. It's not even real. Like, you don't want to be that person who is the knockoff, unreal. That's not the mark that you want to leave. That's not the reputation that you want to carry for yourself. You don't want to be the knockoff. And even, like I said, if it's not boiling down to something in competition, but domination, like it might be your spiritual goals. You don't want to be the spiritually fake. You want to be the spiritually real. You don't want to be the mentally fake, always pretending like you're just this hard person when really you're not. Okay, so stop trying to mimic what other people are doing and walk in who you are and what your characteristics are, and then learn how to dominate and move throughout life with a good understanding of who you are and why who you are works for you, because who you are isn't going to work for anybody else, because there's no one else like you. So stop pretending to be someone you are not. You are here to dominate your personal life. You are here to dominate your own life. So stop looking at everybody else, trying to figure out what it is that they're doing in their lives to achieve what they're achieving, because their goals may not be your goals. Their purpose is not your purpose. And so if you don't walk in a place of domination, then you are going to get caught up, lost in a place of unknowing who you are, of unknowing what your purpose is. Because now you're doing what everybody else has told you versus doing what God has told you, versus being who God created you to be. So stop looking at other people as competition and start thinking about how you are going to dominate your own life. Hey, Christina. Hey, preach. Okay, I'm preaching, Jessica. All right. So the other thing, when we're thinking about whether this is in business or whether this is in your own life, forward thinkers do not copy. Like if you're really trying to get ahead in your life, yes, Mary, domination. If you're really trying to think and get ahead in your life, then stop copying what everybody else is doing. Stop. Think about how you can come in and just absolutely take over, how you make it your own. Thank you, Nana. All right. The other thing is that people who set good goals, people who are going to move ahead, they don't compete, they create. So just like I was saying, you don't want to come to a place where you're just mimicking what everyone else is doing. Where is your originality in that? Where is the gifts and the skills and the talents that God has given you if the only thing that you can do is come and mimic what somebody else has done? Stop living that type of life. Stop looking at what everybody else is doing and saying, oh, well, I got to do what they're going to do, because if I don't do it this way, then they're not going to accept me, or they're going to talk about me. It is okay to break the mold. It is okay not to do what everybody else is doing. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be confident enough in yourself, know who you are, so that you can carry out and execute your plan with confidence, and not allow yourself to get in a place where you're always looking over your shoulder and looking next to you to see what somebody else is doing. That's not your calling. That's how you get distracted. That's how you get set back. All right. So the other thing is that I've already talked about that. They don't look at what others have done. So for us, it is not our goal. It should never, ever be your goal to compete. It is not your goal to compete. And I know that's completely against what some of us have been taught in the sports world, in the business world, right? Because when we go to sports, like, it's competition. That's what it's about, right? And he is saying that, no, it's about domination. This is absolutely about domination. Don't just show up to the game to play and compete. Show up to the game to dominate. Be the person who has the most rebounds. Be the person who has the most baskets, right? Be the person who has the most assists. Be the person who has the most. Why? Because you dominate, because you know what you're doing, because you're an expert in your field, because you practice, because you outwork them. You have more effort. You have more thoughts. All right? So he says, do what you can to dominate, to avoid spending your time chasing and stalking someone else. You don't want to spend all of your time researching and looking at and trolling somebody's Facebook page just to see what they're doing, what they're wearing, what sunglasses they have on. Like, so many of us try and be like everybody except for ourselves, and we fail miserably. Why? Because there is nobody like you. And there is nobody like them, and you cannot master who they are, and they cannot master who you are. You have to know what you're doing. Yes. So set the pace. You're in business for yourself. Set the pace. Set the standard. Stay ahead of the pack. If you are trying to be the best on your job, stop settling. Stop just going to work to get a paycheck. Find meaning in it. What is it that you really desire to do? And how can the job that you're on help you to get to the next level? What skills can you learn? What are transferable for you for whatever it is that you truly desire to do? Because the better you get at that, the sooner you're going to be able to get to a place where you are able to go where you want to go. But as long as you're sitting there going to work, doing nothing, being the retreater, being the person who is doing normal levels of activity, you're going to continue to get normal results, which diminishes to nothing. And then your whole life will pass by you and you'll be wondering, well, what in the world did I accomplish? God, why did you put me here? Right? There should be no reasons why, reasons why we get to a place, especially when we're older in life, and we have no idea why God put us here. Like, we have no idea what our purpose is. That means that you have spent your whole life building someone else's dream, living out someone else's purpose, and you have been lost and confused this entire time. Identify, seek God if you don't already know. Lord, what is my purpose? What is it that you would have me to do? What is my calling while I'm here on this earth? And then you align your goals with your purpose and you go after it. Envy will get you every time. Jealous people always envy. Yes. All right. So let's go here. You set the pace, you set the standard, you stay ahead of the pack. Now, and let me give you a business example, okay? There's a woman by the name of Stormy Wellington in my industry, okay? And she's like a mastermind at being able to create a campaign and getting people to enroll into that campaign and executing the vision and the goal. Like, there is in fact, it's the tea that I promote, right? With the tea, it was like she started calling it something else, so much to the point that nobody even called it by the original name. They called it what she was calling it. Why? Because she came in the business, she set the standard, she set the pace, and because of that, people started joining in on what she was doing. She wasn't worried about what everybody else was doing in the company. She came in with her original ideas. She executed it. And because of that, she has seen incredible results. And we're talking about being able to generate $1 million in 7 months. Guys, this is what not coming in and worrying about your competition is doing, but thinking about domination versus competition. That's powerful, right? Absolutely powerful. Stormy was telling him, yes, she was doing that too. And because she has these skills, she's able to dominate pretty much wherever she goes and whatever she wants to do, because she has those skills to do that. And she has the mindset to do that. And so that just goes to show you, right, that no matter what our goals are, no matter what category it's in, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, in your business life, your relationships, whatever, that if you apply the 10X rule, if you stop thinking from a competition standpoint to a domination standpoint, you are going to be able to achieve what it is that you desire. So another example, well, before we even go, so even in a business, right? This doesn't mean don't study the best practices. This means that your goal should be to take it to the next level. And you can't do that if you are down here still just watching what they're doing. You kind of go in, figure out what they're doing, figure out the best practices, but then you move on. You can't stay here and think that you're going to get ahead and be able to dominate. So some examples of this. He says Apple, right? Apple makes computers and smartphones. But they didn't just copy, like they don't compete. They came in to dominate. They set the pace. They let others try and do the duplication. But when you think of Apple now, like I call them a cult, right? Like, because everyone just has like this whole like Apple spirit about them, because they come in and they dominate. They come in and they dominate. Absolutely dominate. So I can't even though I don't have Apple, I don't have their computer, and I don't have their cell phone, right? But I cannot deny that they are a powerful company, right? Now, the other company that or do they talk about that here? No, they don't. There are some other examples, and I'm getting ahead of myself. So the next thing is about your goals. So as you're setting 10X goals, is set goals at a level to overshadow and dominate. So how do you dominate? We've been talking about for a couple of days now. How do you dominate in whatever industry you're in? Whatever your goal is, how do you dominate? He says, number one, you have to decide to dominate. It's that simple. You have to make a decision. Do you want this? Do you want this more than everybody else? Are you going to come in and are you going to do the best that you absolutely can do, times some, or are you just going to come in and be average and just kind of say, hey, I just want a piece of the pie. If I can just get a piece of the pie, I'm good. Or are you saying, I want the pie and then I'm going to go make another pie and I'm going to have 2 pies? This is going to be the difference for you of being able to achieve 10 times more in every area of your life. Okay, so then the second thing he says that if you want to dominate is that you have to do what others are refusing to do. When people want to go to sleep, then you've got to stay up. When people don't want to make phone calls, you've got to make 10 times the phone calls. When people don't want to communicate, you need to communicate. When they don't want to market, you need to market. When they don't want to do these things, this is your opportunity to step in and get an edge on whatever it is that other people are doing or not doing. So let's say this is even on your job. You want that promotion? Well, put in the work. They might have more skill. They might have more talent. They might be gifted. But guess what? If they only put in an hour, but you put in 15 hours, you put in 10 hours, more time, and you really start learning what you need to learn, guess who will end up getting that promotion? You or the other person? You will. Right? So you have to figure out what it is. Hey, Otis, what's going on? What it is that you need to do to be able to execute it 10 times more, 10 times more effort, 10 times more thought, thinking about what are the obstacles that you're going to encounter. Think about all of that and then map it out and execute it. Number 3, he says, don't play by agreed upon norms. Dare to be different. Like, this is one of the times where you can use that cliche, dare to be different. Stop doing what everybody else is doing. The rules, the norms, traditions of any group or industry are usually traps that prevent new ideas, higher levels of greatness, and domination. When we can only think like at the level at which we are told to think, it is a trap of normalcy. It is a trap of mediocrity. So think about the things that you're doing. If you're not happy with where you are, set goals that are bigger, set goals that are higher, 10 times more effort, 10 times more thought, 10x goals. All right. So let's move on here. And good evening, everyone who's joining in. All right. Make sure you drop a 1 if you're catching this live. If you're catching this on replay, drop a 2 for me just so I know what's going on. And also, if you share this live, we are doing weekly drawings, so you'll be in the drawing for cash prizes, gift cards, and free health and wellness products. So this is the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Yes, low standards are a trap. They are a trap for mediocrity, and then that diminishes to absolutely nothing. Okay, so you don't want to be in the race. You want to be the top list of consideration, and even better, you want to be the only one who is considered as the solution. Like, for instance, I've told this before, but it always, like, it gets me. So, like, just because I think it's great how this person was able to take themselves from the bottom all the way to the top. And this is a relationship example, okay? So I have this friend who was completely not interested in this woman. And this woman just did not care, though. Like, she had her sights set, and she knew and she felt within her that they were supposed to be together. And so she went out and she said, you know what, I don't care. And I'm kind of paraphrasing this whole event, okay? But she's like, I don't care what the competition is. I don't care who else is coming your way. My goal is to dominate this space so that the only woman you begin to desire, the only woman that you decide that you want is me, okay? And so she would bring his favorite candy bar. She would come and visit. She would do different things, you know, that just caught his attention. And slowly but surely, and I'm not saying crazy off the wall things, like, she was very respectable with it. But it just got to the point where he began to notice her and look at her in a different way. And I mean, initially it was kind of like, Camille, this girl keeps coming around. I don't like her like that. And I wish she would just go away. And if she brings me my candy bar one more time, or if she says my name like that one more time, like, I might just go crazy. But now today, to look back on that, she felt like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is who I'm supposed to be with. And And now, ladies, I'm not saying this is what you necessarily need to do, but this is what she felt she needed to do. And everybody's path is different. So, but today they are married and they have 3 kids or 4, and they're happy, right? They're on the same page. They're going after the same goals. They're building together. They support one another. And he's like, I don't know what I would do without her in my life. So what am I saying? She came in that situation, she dominated the space. She said, I'm cutting out all competition because this is me and there's nobody like me, and nobody is going to be able to dominate this space like me, right? And so from that, now she has a happy marriage and kids and a family, and they're going after their dreams and their goals together. Okay, so that is just an example of how you can equate this in relationships to the 10X rule. It might be vice versa for you guys out there who have somebody that you just feel like this is the one. Stop giving up so easy on everything. Okay, now don't become a stalker. Don't be crazy with it, but y'all know what I mean, hopefully. All right, so we need to adopt the attitude, Grant says, that you have so much power in your goal area that even your competition begins to think of you when you smothered him to marriage. Just kidding. She went after, right, where I was looking like, oh my gosh, like he is just really irritated by her and this is not going to work, right? So if she would have listened to me, who still not married, right? I'm talking about years ago. She would have been in a bad place. Like we would have just been unmarried together. Now I'm happy and not married, but still I do desire to be married. She's married. She went after her goals. She knows what she wanted. Okay, great. But if she would have listened to me and my advice that I would have given her, it would have been like, hey girl, you need to give up because he don't like you. And plus I had the inside voice, right? So I'm listening to him complain. I'm listening to him say, I don't like her. This is not who I desire. Like she's coming on too strong. I don't like her like that. But if she would have listened to my advice, it would have been, hey Gerald, it would have been from a perspective of, girl, just leave it alone before he ends up despising you and never talking to you another day in your life. So, good thing she didn't come to me for advice, and good thing I didn't go to her to try and help her out, because I would have been one of those people who just absolutely talked her out of her dream and out of her goal and out of what she desired. And how many of us are allowing people to talk us out of our dreams, our goals, and our desires? So when you know what is for you and nobody can take that away from you, that's the attitude that we have to have. We have to dominate that area of our life and say, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I'm going after. And I'm not taking no. And you go for it. And you never know what might happen from that. Sometimes smothering is good, right? Because, and that's a good example, Wilbert, because Grant was saying in the book that, with his company, he was initially sending out emails and he was sending out or posting on social media. And there were some people who started unsubscribing or whatever. And so there were some people in his company that said, hey, well, maybe we should just stop doing this because it's making people go away. Like our numbers are going down. And Grant was like, no, let's not stop. He said, in fact, let's increase it. So then instead of sending out 2 posts on social media, he started doing a post every 30 seconds during the day. And then he started sending out, instead of, it was like 1 or 2 emails a month, and he started sending out 8. Like he started dominating and smothering, right, for lack of a better word, but smothering people with information. And so that began to truly draw the people who he was adding value to. See, if we back off, then we're not able to find the people who we're going to add value to, who are going to pay for our goods or our services or understand what our value is. And so, right, sometimes smothering it is, and that's going to help you to weed out who's going to stay around and bring in those people who want your information. And so the more that we can make sure that we are known, set who we are. So even in your business, Wilbert, if it's for you to get more clients, then keep pushing. Keep promoting and do it more, until Wilbert the electrician man becomes the household name. And that's going to weed out people who don't want your business, but it's going to bring in so many more people of who do want your business. And even the people who don't like you will still talk about you to somebody else, and it's going to raise awareness. Or maybe they're in the same industry as you and they're going to talk about how you're getting all this business, and again, it's going to raise awareness about who you are. So guys, don't give up. Stop listening to these people who say, okay, well, I'm going to unsubscribe, and then that discourages you because a couple people unsubscribe. Keep going, so that people are now here for you. They like what you have to say. Keep going till you find that market, until you find the people who you add value to, that is going to start to give you what it is that you desire, right? Income producing activities, yes, and doing it at a maximum 10 times more. So Grant went from making 2 Facebook posts or 2 Twitter posts to doing something every 30 seconds. And from doing 2 emails a month to doing 8 emails a month, right? So if you're in business, so this is for my business owners, stop thinking in small numbers. Stop doing little think. We're doing big think here. Everything is big. Everything is great, greater, bigger, because we want to achieve 10 times more, because when life happens and when things happen, we are prepared. Okay? And not only that, but you can have more of what you desire. You can have more vacations. You can have financial freedom. You can have time with your family. You can have time to have vacation. You can have the time, but you can't do that if you're doing little levels of little things. So we have to do big levels of big things, so that traveling around the world, if that's your desire, is no thing. You hop on whatever plane you want to, stay at whatever hotel you want to, go whenever you want to. Why? Because you've done 10 times more of success, so that you can have what it is that you want. The audience must be able to receive. Yes, they've got to be able to receive, and sometimes you have to weed out the ones who don't want to receive to bring in the ones that do. And so that means you have to increase your visibility. Yep. Okay, so whatever your goal, own it completely. Whatever your goal is, or did I skip? I did skip. All right. So an example of this, and just sticking along the businesses and brands, right? IBM. At one point of time, IBM dominated the computer industry, just the world, period, when it came to computers, so much that people weren't calling it PCs, that they were calling all PCs IBMs, because that was the only thing they think of. Even with Xerox copiers, right? That is a brand, but they started calling paper copiers Xerox, like go make a Xerox copy. Go to the Xerox machine, when it's really a different brand. Like Xerox dominated so much that even when it wasn't their brand, like it was just the thing. So it was almost like it's a chair, but the name of the chair is smart, right? And so everybody's now calling every chair smart. Why? Because they dominated the industry so much. Like that's how Xerox was. So some people still call it go do something on the Xerox machine. And it may be a completely different brand than Xerox. When people tell me no, I take it personally and just stop. See, that's what we have to come against. That when people tell us no, we keep pushing, because their no's are going to come. It doesn't matter what the no is in. It could be in business, it could be in relationships, it could be in finances, it could be in anything. No is going to come. And this is why Grant is talking to us, saying that we have to do 10 times more, because when we do 10 times more, when those no's come, it will have an impact, but it won't impact us to the point where we can't achieve greater levels of success. So we cannot take the no's personally. And we cannot be those people, as we've talked about, the degrees of action. We can't be the people who are the number 2s, who are the retreaters, because we are fearful of what the results might be. No, we have to be people number 4 when it comes to the degree of action, of taking massive action. Get out here and get it done. Right? We can't get afraid and cower. We got to march forward. We are victorious. We dominate. We absolutely dominate. I am a force to be reckoned with. And that's the attitude we have to take on, right? We have to you think that no one told IBM no at first? We've talked about the example of KFC, how they had to present 80 times before they got someone to say yes to them. But what if they would have stopped? KFC, right? KFC is a household name. Everybody knows who KFC is. McDonald's, Walt Disney, all of these people, Rocky, right? Everybody knows those names that I just called off. What if they stopped and they didn't get a yes right away? You think people were forward-minded thinking when Walt Disney said, let's make cartoons and let's make this place where it's going to be the happiest place on earth, and we're going to have characters walking around and every family is going to want to come here? But now people will save up their life savings, right? They will spend everything that they have just so that they can give their family an experience at Disney World. We can't stop, because we have no idea how our ideas and our creativity is meant for something so much greater, to leave an impact on this world. Buy their stock. And good evening, everyone who's joining in. So if you are new to my lives, I'm doing a book discussion at night, and so the book that we're discussing is the 10X Rule, and it's by Grant Cardone. All right, so we're on chapter number 10, and that chapter is about competition is for sissies. We dominate. We don't compete. We find out what works good in the industry or in an area of focus, and then we take that and then we take it to the next level. Okay, so moving on, make it your goal that you become the poster child for what it is that you want to achieve. You know, so when it comes down to your spiritual goals, you get so close to God, you become that person that when someone needs spiritual advice, they're like, there's only one person for me to go to. And I'm not saying this so that you can have bragging rights. I'm saying this because as you become stronger in your faith and in your spiritual life, people coming to you is just a great indicator that you are doing what you are supposed to be doing, that you are on the right path. And then when obstacles come, you know how to stand, you know how to endure, you know how to get through, you know how to stay in a place of peace when things come to disrupt your life. You don't have to be thrown off track by everything that happens. Oh, someone talked about me. Oh, my finances are messed up. Oh, I had to go to the hospital, right? No. That's not what we do. We have obstacles, but we overcome, knowing that we have power to overcome it. Right? And so this is why we work to achieve the goal at a 10 times higher level, because we want to have what it is that we desire. And then when bad things come, we know how to face it. We know how to conquer it. We know how to overcome it, because we dominate. We don't compete. We dominate. We dominate whatever area of our life it is that we want to achieve success in. How many of those common stocks? I'm not necessarily sure what you mean by how many of those common stocks, Nana. Now, let's see. Don't compete. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so Grant Cardone, for example, he says that it's his goal that everyone on earth know that he is a sales trainer. And he says, is that achievable? He said, probably not. But it's the target that is used for making his decisions. So everything, like if it is going to compromise his brand, if it's going to compromise him being able to achieve higher, and then the whole world knowing his name, then he's like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. So I think that's the thing that we have to think about too, is that we have to stop doing things that are going to compromise us from reaching our goals. Like, we do so much self-damage to ourselves. We have no guiding principles for what it is that we're trying to achieve, that we just start doing anything and there's no real purpose behind why we're doing what we're doing. So as we talked about on last night, that maybe your goal might be to hit a certain financial mark, but instead of setting your purpose and your goals align with your purpose, and then you achieve that financial target by focusing on that, we do everything. Like, we're just everywhere, and then it doesn't even make any sense, and then we burn ourselves out because there is no real meaning behind what it is that we're doing. So Grant is saying his goal is for everyone to know that he is the top sales trainer all in the entire earth. So he's like, if I do something, I need to do it with excellence. I need to do it to a point where it is going to benefit my brand and not harm my brand. All right, so he says, whatever your goal is, own it completely, whatever it is. If you want to do personal development, then you have to own that. Own it, because the better you become, the more you will get out of this life. The more you become, the more you will get. The more people you can help, the more you will be able to earn. And you can't help those people if you can't even help yourself. So you have to do personal development and own it. Own it. Be the walking, talking personal development machine. All right. Now, let's go to page, let me see here. Learn from those who want to compete, but just don't chase them. We've talked enough about that, all right? Learn from those who want to compete, but just don't chase them. Don't spend your time trying to follow them around. You're lurking around the corner, trying to peek your eye around. What are they doing? You know, that's not for you. You can learn from them, but then take what you have learned and then take it to the next level, okay? All right, an example that he gives is Sam Walton. Like, some of y'all might like Walmart brands and Sam's Club, and some of you all may not. But what we cannot deny is that Sam Walton has done something right for his business, okay? So I'm going to give you that example. It says, Sam Walton, founder of Walmart, was said to shop other stores weekly in order to see what they were doing well and improve on that. At the same time, he also had the goal of domination, not competition. See, while he was going out and checking what the competition was doing, he did not have the goal to compete with them. He wanted to dominate. He said, you know, where are these areas that people are slipping? Because I'm going to come in and I'm going to make something shake. I'm going to make something happen. Like, I'm not going to slip in these areas. If you are going to duplicate the best of what others do, then hammer away at them, champion that practice and make it yours. Hone their specialties until they become your advantage. Do so to the point where you become the expert and leader in that area and dominate it so incredibly that they no longer even want to attempt it. So it's funny, I'm part of 2 internet clubs, okay, or apps or whatever you want to call them. All right. But essentially they do the same thing. You're allowed to shop online. And when you shop online, you're able to earn a percentage back from the purchases that you make. And if you refer someone, they're going to pay you the money. Okay. So now one company was offering $25 per referral. Now that's great, right? $25, all you're doing anyway. So if I go and shop somewhere and I get 10% back on something, and then I'm like, hey, yeah, I got these pair of shoes, I was able to get 10% back. Now I've told my friend, now they've gone to the site, they sign up, they're going to get $25. Now the other company, they were only giving out $15. They were giving out $15 for a person to sign up and then refer someone to this company. Now, which one is better? The $25 or the $15? Obviously, for me, I'm like, why are y'all going so crazy over the $15 when you can get $25 and like have more money, right? In a shorter amount of time for essentially doing the same thing. Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand. But it was because their marketing was better. Like, they came in and they dominated that area. Like, it was going crazy. And some of y'all were part of this like absolute phenomenon of joining this in particular app so that you could get paid $15. And I'm like, but you can go join this other app and get paid $25. But they dominated so much that with the other company who was given the 25, they decided to take the 25 referral fee and move it down to 15 because this other company was having so much success with $15. But guess what? Because they went to copy and mimic them, like, they still haven't had the amount of success that it is that they desire. Like, they're still off the gamut. Like, they're not hitting it because they're not being creative enough, because they're so busy trying to follow what somebody else is doing versus make their own footprint and dominate in that industry. Like, so now you're copying and now you just lost more because I'm not even as motivated now, because I'm like, you were paying me $25 to refer and now you're paying me $15 to refer. Like, why does that make any sense? Why am I excited or motivated to now promote this? Like, I mean, $15 is still good. Don't get me wrong. But let me tell you, my level of excitement went down because I would rather make $25 for free for referring someone, which is what I was doing anyway. You all following what I'm saying? Hopefully you get it. Okay, but they've messed up. I'm sure I'm not the only person who was like, well, why did you do that? I'm pretty sure I am not. Let's see, right? Walmart, Sam's is pushing the name brands out and replacing with their brands. Yes. So we have to dominate. And again, you know, maybe you don't like them. Maybe you're like, okay, and going back to the Walmart example, you know, the mom and pop stores, well, what can they do? They have to get out there and work even harder. Like, you can't just expect because you're the mom and pop store that everybody's going to come to you because you're the mom and pop store. No, you have to get out there and work, put out the effort, make it so that Walmart can't come and dominate your community. right? But we can't deny that Walmart does dominate. I went to school with a girl who was from Paducah, Kentucky. And I was like, girl, what you doing Paducah, Kentucky? Like, where is Paducah, Kentucky? And she was like, we go to Walmart. Like, Walmart has become the hangout spot. Walmart is the shopping spot. Walmart is a place where people can go and eat. Walmart is a place you get your groceries, your clothes, your shoes, your whatever. Right? Because they are absolutely dominating everyday low prices, right? They dominate. Don't compete. Mary, you got it? Okay, cool. As long as I was making sense. It says you don't have to be first to the space, but it is important to be considered first in the space. So it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to be first. But when you come in, you have to be first. Like you come in and you take over. Whatever it is, just come in and take over it. And it's not thinking about, oh, I got to get one up on certain people. Like, don't come in a spiritual goal and just being like, well, I got to come in and I've got to read my word more than you. No, or I got to pray harder and louder and faster, or speak in tongues or something better and more than you. No, you're coming in to dominate because you want a better relationship with God. Like, you want to hear from him clearly. You want to make sure that you're walking in the footsteps and the path that he has for you. That's why you're coming in to dominate. Okay, you're coming in to dominate for those reasons. So whatever you do, make sure you have the right reasons. It's not about competition. It's about domination. But understand why you're dominating. Okay, I actually live in a food barren area thanks to Walmart. And so, that for the stores that are now out of business, is it Walmart's fault that they learned how to dominate? No, it's not. It's business though. So we have to learn, these businesses have to learn how to dominate so that these bigger businesses won't come in and take over. How can they come together collectively? How can they impact the community in such a dominating way that when Walmart says, hey, we're going to start building here, the community is like, no, Walmart, you are not coming into my town. Like, what are you all doing? Like, in your marriages, what are you doing to dominate your marriage? To make sure that, hey, no one is coming into my town. And I say that just because there's so many people that I've talked to, or they come to me and they're telling me what's going on in their lives. And guys, it's because it's not at all mom and pop folded. So they're telling me why everything that's going on that's failing, but it's kind of like, but what did you do to prevent that? This is the 10X rule. Like, what are you putting in place to stop bad things from happening as well as achieving what it is that you desire? Okay, so you have to come about it. In your family, you've got to dominate it. You don't want your family to be dramatic and full of drama and always at fault and always falling out with each other. Then you've got to dominate that. What are the principles that you are raising your family up with so that when trials and tribulations come, you all can band together as a family and say, we don't do that. Or we don't come for each other. But we help support one another and build one another up, right? We help to cover each other. We help to hold each other to a higher level of accountability. But all this other mess, we're not going to do, right? What are you doing to dominate in every area of your life? Had an itch on my eye. You like the Paducah, Kentucky? No, it's not at all. Mom and pop folded, right? You can't just assume that because you have said I'm in business or here I am, that is going to happen. This is where the 10 times more effort comes into place. Okay, so let's go here. You may not have all of the resources, but don't let anyone outwork you. Use what you have. You may not have all of the resources, but don't allow anyone to outwork you. And that's in specifically because I told you Grant is coming from a sales position in particular on this. But even let's take it for sports, for example. You know, you may not have access to the best gyms. You may not have access to the best equipment. You may not have access to these things, but that doesn't mean that you can't find a way, that you can't find other workouts, that you can't find a friend who has access to the gym that you need. Like, you have to use what you have, use the resources that you have, and then you get to work. And you outwork anybody who might have a trainer, who might have a coach, whereas you can't afford to go get one. Like, you find a way. You don't allow things to stop you from achieving your goals. This is the 10X rule, the 10 times more thought. When we come against obstacles, we don't just stop. When we get no's, we don't just stop. And I can tell you that when you do, or if you are the person who just stops because you have an obstacle or because somebody tells you no, that's why you're in the place that you are right now. So if you're not happy, it's a high chance that you are the person who does nothing, you are the person who retreats, or you are the person who takes normal levels of activity, which ultimately diminishes because normal can't sustain challenges that come in your life. All right, so there is something I feel like I am missing that I wanted to tell you all. So let me see where my notes are. All right, now there is no shortage of energy, effort, creativity, or how much you can make contact. There is no shortage of energy, effort, creativity, or how much you can make contact with someone. So when networking, right? If you're bidding for something, if you want a different type of job, if you want to get into a different type of school, there's a story about Les Brown, where Les Brown is saying he wanted to get into the radio industry. And he had no radio background. He had no real connections, but he went up to the radio station every day. He told the man what he wanted to do. The man told him no. He'd come back the next day, tell him he wants to work at the radio station. The man would tell him no. He came back so many times that finally the guy was like, okay, just go get some sandwiches, right? Like, just go get us some food real quick, just so that you can get out of my hair, because you keep coming and you keep coming and you keep coming. Like, he was relentless. He had the energy. He had the effort, he had the creativity, and that is what got him in the door. And now Les Brown is known as one of the world-renowned speakers. But it all started with him trying to get into the radio industry and going to that radio station every day when he didn't know anybody, when he had no connections, when he was just trying to network his way into what he wanted to do. You want to achieve your goals and your dreams so bad that you are willing to get outside of your comfort zone, that you are willing to be relentless, that you are willing to contact people more than what the normal person would contact. Some of us will only call once and we're like, oh, well, they didn't call us back, so I never bothered to call back again. I just figured they didn't want me. They didn't choose me, that I wasn't the desirable candidate. And maybe they didn't deem you as that as first, but maybe you had to go and improve your value. You had to show them, hey, I want this. Hey, I'm relentless. Hey, I am dedicated to this. I am persistent. I am consistent. And because they saw that, you had one up on somebody else, because there is no shortage of energy. There is no shortage of creativity, and there is no shortage of how much you can make contact. Hey, sorry, but I'm late. Keep doing your thing, love. Hey, Bobby. I see you. You use your own teachings. Mary, yes. Okay. You can't dominate what you don't penetrate. You cannot dominate what you don't penetrate. If you're in sales, stop going out here thinking that you're going to talk to one person one time and they are going to say yes every time. Because listen, how many, especially, okay, I'm in health and wellness, right? How many health and wellness products do you know of? Or places that you can go where you can get a health and wellness product? You know, there's some people who will come to me and say, hey, well, I found your product for a lesser price somewhere else, so I went there. If I allowed that to distract me or get me off basis, I wouldn't be in business right now. Okay? But I can't allow that to happen. No, I get the mindset that I need to come in and dominate, but I can't dominate if I don't penetrate. I can't allow what other people are doing to discourage me from going after my dreams, from going after my purpose. So I set my goals according to what my purpose is, and I walk in it, and then I've set the goal to dominate. And am I there yet? No. But that's why I'm reading books like this. This is why I'm talking to you all, because I want to be able to be to a place where I am dominating. Okay? prove, yes, sometimes we have to absolutely prove our value, because we may see it and we may be optimistic and we can be excited about it, but not everybody else sees that yet. They don't know you. You have to make sure that people know you. That business that you want to start, for the products and the services that you offer, you've got to get your name out there. For that man or woman that you want to date, they may not have any idea that you even exist, but you got to get out there and you got to make it happen. I'm going to give you all even a personal example in that. So my birthday was January 1st. Somebody sends me some flowers, and maybe they don't want to date me. Maybe they just want to send me some flowers, right? But they sent me flowers. I don't know who this anonymous person is, but guess what? If it is because they wanted to date me or they have interest in me beyond just wanting to send me some nice flowers for my birthday, because they are hiding behind an anonymous name, right? Anonymous anonymity, then they will never have a chance, because I don't even know who they are. So, even if I was open to it, then it's just not going down. Why? Because I don't even know, because they're not putting forth any other effort. So if you think that you can just do something one time, or just kind of halfway do something, then guess what? It's just not going to happen, right? So, but thank you to whoever sent the flowers, by the way. Stranger danger. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know who it was, but thank you all. Okay. But, so you can't dominate what you don't penetrate. That's the whole purpose behind that. You can't dominate what you don't penetrate. Okay. All right. You won't penetrate by using reasonable levels of activity. Thank you, Mary. So you're not going to dominate or penetrate. Let me get the right words. All right. By using reasonable levels of activity. So if you just want to do reasonable, just reasonable is the bare minimum. I'm just going to do the bare minimum of whatever I need to do in order to stay afloat. Okay, so I'm at my job, but I'm only going to do the bare minimum to keep my job. But yet you want a promotion? You want to become manager? Why does that even make sense? It doesn't. You're just going to do the reasonable, the bare minimum. Anybody can do that. You were doing that when you first got hired. If you want to get promoted, then you need to put in some extra work. You got to dominate that position before you even get the position, so that people can see your value. The more value more value that you add, the more you become worth to a certain group of people or individual. But if you don't dominate, you don't penetrate, then they're not going to see it. Simple as that. So he goes and he talks about some other things, which I'm not going to cover on tonight. But my final points will be this. Average thinking and average actions will fail you, because people don't know how to operate in challenging environments. So if we think with average thinking and have average actions, it's going to fail us. Because as I've been talking about from the very beginning of this, is that when challenges come, then we're going to quit. We're going to stop. We don't know how to work in challenging environments. Most of us do not. And so, in another example of that, my company, Infuse, I was doing a lot more speaking engagements and partnering with different community organizations. And then I had a situation come up that I was just really not fond of. Okay, so I was contracting, had independent contractors who were coming in as my speakers. And so then they decided that they weren't going to pay their taxes and they wanted the company to pay their, I was like, what is happening here? And the way that they approached it just irritated my skin so much that I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to push this as hard just because of that situation. So that challenge came, and because of that, I slowed down in that area of my business. Okay. Now this was years ago. And because of that, and really, even though that was years ago, it is still impacted because I haven't really jumped back in the way that I was. And so that's one of the examples of when we have average actions and we have average thinking, it's going to fail us, because when challenges come, then we can't handle it. And that was an example for me in my personal life, and how I was able to identify with that statement and say, you know what, that is absolutely right. That is absolutely true. Think about some relationships. You can't last, because as soon as the first issue comes up, you're ready to quit. You're ready to go home. You're ready to be done. But it's going to take something within inside of you, your spiritual growth. It's going to take that mental capacity, that personal development that helps you to push through. It's going to take massive action, because once you get through all of the no's and all of the criticism and all of the rejection, you still have to have something to stand on. And that is going to be the massive action. Okay? Work, school, and my side job hustle is real. Brian, is that where you've been? Or are you referring to something I've said? Okay. So, final thought. Quit thinking about competing and dominate. Whatever your goal is, whatever you are trying to achieve, quit thinking about competing and absolutely dominate. Stop looking to your left. Stop looking to your right. Trying to figure out what everybody else is doing. Trying to see how they're handling their business. Now, you can do it to learn, but after you learn, you take it and you make it your own. You don't stay there just looking at them like, oh, well, you know, they jump with their left foot, so I'm going to jump with my left foot. You know, they jump with their right, so I'm going to jump with my right. Oh, well, they blink, so I'm going to blink. Like, no. Take on your own personality. Put your own twist to it. Own it. Whatever you decide to do, own it. Stop competing and dominate. Success leaves clues for me. Absolutely. Success leaves clues. And so you take what you can learn, but then you make it your own. Do not die a carbon copy, but make sure that you are originating, doing it all, dominating. Okay, got you, Brian. Yes, work, school, and side job. Okay, guys, so is that it? Yeah, that is it from me on tonight. So thank you so much for tuning in. If this helped you in any way and you think it'll help somebody else on your friends list, make sure you share this video. And then also, when you share this video, you're going to be entered into a weekly drawing to get cash prizes, gift cards, and also health and wellness products. Before you sign off, I'm going to go ahead and take credit for the flowers. Chauncey. Thank you, Jessica, for being on here and being so consistent and coming on. I appreciate that. Okay. All right, everybody. Love you too, dear. All right, guys. So tomorrow night we are on chapter 11, Breaking Out of the Middle Class. So if you didn't know, we are reading the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And so I will catch you all later. Stay focused on your own goals, dreams, dominating. Yes, Mary. Yes. So everyone, go reevaluate your goals, reevaluate what you're trying to do in life. Make sure that it aligns with your purpose. And then from there, do everything bigger. Everything becomes bigger. It becomes astronomical, because if you shoot for the moon and you miss, at least you will land amongst the stars. All right. Good night, everybody.